We've all experienced this. We go to Walmart or Target for that one thing we really need and then walk out with a cart full of stuff. Even if we tell ourselves, all I'm gonna do today is go get that one toothpaste and leave, it just never happens. I've even had a friend in college who would actually pay more for sodas from a vending machine than try to go buy a pack of sodas from Target because he knows he's gonna end up spending more money on other stuff that he doesn't need. But here's the thing, at the supermarkets, there's no sales rep walking up to you, annoying you, trying to sell you stuff. But retail stores nowadays have much more effective ways of convincing you to buy, I don't know, 10 more rolls of paper towels than you actually need. And it's all thanks to science and psychology. So in today's video, we're gonna count down to 10 sneaky scientific ways that retail stores use to make you spend just a little more money. And we'll start off with number 10, follow your nose. Have you ever walked into a store and noticed how good the place smells? Well, that's by design, because researchers have found that certain warm scents like cinnamon turns on a switch at the back of unsuspecting customers' heads as it creates a welcoming environment where we can feel safe and relaxed, and thus dropping our guard and end up with that brand new toaster we don't need. Another study has also shown that the specific scent of lavender can create the feeling of trust. According to the study made by Leiden University, smelling the aroma of lavender may help a seller to establish more easily a trusting negotiation. It may induce customers to spend more money buying more products. So the next time you smell that freshly baked cinnamon buns at a Crate and Barrel with the aroma of lavender at a design clothing store and you're on a tight budget, yeah, turn the other way. Number 9, tugging at your heartstrings. The best way to a consumer's wallet is through their memories. Nostalgia plays a large role in the retail industry because it is a concept that always hits a home run when it comes to bringing people into stores. Several studies on the topic has shown that people are more likely to make a purchase because they value money less the moment something clicks into their memory, like a family gathering or their first time riding a bike, because nostalgia makes them feel that they should be paying more than what is advertised. Number 8, big carts equals big purchases. It is second nature to human beings that we tend to fill in gaps or make sure that space is properly filled. In 1938, this natural human compulsion was put to good use when the first shopping cart was invented and introduced to the public. Of course, it is less burdensome than shopping baskets. Shopping carts make going through store aisles really easy. However, the main feature of the cart is in its size. While its inventors may have opted to create something in a much more conservative scale, the shopping cart was intentionally designed for people to make larger purchases. Today, that trend seems to keep on going as shopping carts seem to get bigger and bigger to make people buy more and more stuff. I mean, think about it. Have you ever looked down at your shopping cart going, yeah, there's only like a little box of soap in there. It seems so lonely. Maybe this nice TV will be a great companion. Okay, maybe not a TV. Number 7, intentionally rude salespeople. You know, hiring someone to be rude to customers seems pretty counterintuitive, right? I mean, if you're a store owner, you would think that most store owners, they want to hire people with the most magnetic personalities in order to make a sale at the end of the day. However, hiring people and telling them to be rude to potential customers has its merits in a much more reverse psychological kind of way. Human beings are social creatures, and nothing draws us more than belonging in a group, and nothing says that you belong in this consumerist society than a shiny new Prada bag. Some stores actually employ rude salespeople on purpose, and these tend to be more of the higher end stores. In fact, a study made by the University of British Columbia discovered that customers who interacted with snobbish salespeople were more likely to buy something from that store. It is the similar effect to a clique or the popular table in school that you aspire to be part of, and the reward of being able to walk out of a luxury store with a purchase seems to validate that feeling. Number 6, the labyrinth. Large retail stores like IKEA, Costco, and Forever 21 tend to have massive spaces that seem to try to keep you inside. I think this is especially true with IKEA, where they actually need to give you directions so you can make it out of the store. And this is not bad planning or a terrible architectural layout. This is all intentional. By actively confusing customers by having them turn from one corner to the next looking for a way out, stores are increasing their chances of having individuals spend more time on impulse purchases as they weave through shelves and aisles of different products that may pique their interest. According to UC San Diego marketing professor Wendy Liu, who co-authored a research on the subject, getting interrupted during shopping also makes you less price sensitive. Moreover, your brain is tricked into having already vetted a product when you return to look at them after a convenient distraction of, you know, getting lost. Number 5, test and play. According to Suzanne Shu, a marketing professor at UCLA, when you touch something, you instantly feel more of a connection to it. She also says that emotion can cause you to buy something you never would have bought if you hadn't touched it. And driving the point home even more, researchers have concluded that consumers who touch and test a product will even pay more for it than consumers who just look at them. The idea that we can interact with a product like hand creams, makeup, or even test driving a car gives us that fleeting sense of accomplishment of having owned something even for the briefest of moments. That feeling then grows into an urge that needs to be subconsciously satisfied, so we end up swiping that card even though we only intended to browse when we walked into a store. And this also extends to trying out food in supermarkets. See, that's why they give you that free crab cake. Number 4, the smaller the item, the bigger the buy. It is misleading to think that you are saving more money if you buy smaller sizes of items in bigger packaging, most especially when it comes to food and drinks. Buying in bulk tends to be the logical option, right? After all, it saves us the time of having to go back to the supermarket more than once a week. However, research shows that having to buy multiple packs of small items encourages us to consume more. It is the idea that there is so much of it that your brain is sending a signal to your body that you need to consume it all as if it were a competition. The most frugal and reasonable way to go about this is to simply buy and consume what is only needed. So I guess my friend buying the sodas out of the vending machine, he was being pretty smart. Number 3, eye to eye. If you have a product, let's say you invented a product, nothing is gonna make you more happy than seeing it at the store's top shelf, right? I mean, being on the topmost part of a display gives off the idea that your product is the best, but this is a fallacy. Whenever a store, especially supermarkets, would really like you to buy a specific product, they place it at a customer's eye level because you want this to be the first thing that the consumer sees. This also applies to expensive and branded items. If you are a lesser known brand, you are relegated to maybe the top shelf or the bottom shelf with products that are usually sold in bulk. Another prime real estate in stores is having favored products located at the end of the aisle. We call them end caps, where customers are more likely to see them the moment they make a turn. Also, that's where people think sales are going on, so even if an item is not on sale, you place it on an end cap, people for some reason will just think they're discounted. Number 2, the music in you. Music is perhaps one of the most influential forces in the universe. A song can instantly brighten up a mood or turn it sour and sulky. Retail stores have been employing the use of music in order to generate more sales and influence customers to go with their impulse and just buy things. Several studies have shown that the type of music greatly affects traffic in stores as well as sales. Essentially, the slower and mellower the music is, the more likely people are going to slow down, take their time, and thus spend more money. Fast, upbeat tunes tend to dial up people's excitement that they simply just zip through aisles without looking back or making a single purchase. Also, if a store would like you to splurge on something more luxurious, all they have to do is play some classical music, maybe a bit of Beethoven or a little Bach, and that's why those are the type of music you typically hear in department stores or supermarkets. Finally, number 1, the thing to be most aware of when you go shopping and you don't want to spend too much, watch out for those checkout counters. It's really the devil's playground. Imagine yourself just stuck behind a line that's moving really slowly and having no other option but to stare at the items at the checkout counter. Chances are you're gonna leaf through a magazine or read a nutrition label of a candy bar or something, and by the time you ring up your purchases, you have already tossed in several bubble gums or mints or that whatchamacallit, which is actually a great candy bar. Anyway, checkout counters are the most profitable spaces in the entire store, especially in supermarkets. And what they pretty much do is tempt you to make last-minute impulse buys that just add to what you actually should be spending. And the tactic is pretty obvious. It's using your boredom and lying and the lack of things to do to keep you preoccupied while waiting for your turn. And the thing is, if you have a kid with you, the chance of you buying something on impulse is already double. So before I started working on Wall Street, before I got into TV and YouTube, all this stuff, I used to be a manager at Target. So yeah, all this stuff is true. Actually, I'm gonna give you a couple tips. There is a policy at Target. If you're bringing up an item to the checkout counter, it doesn't have a price tag or a barcode on it, but the item looks like it's under $20, you can basically tell the checkout person how much you think that item is. And if the price seems reasonable, they're just gonna give it to you. And did you know you can actually negotiate with department managers at Target? So for example, if you see a display model or maybe an item that's slightly damaged, you can actually talk to the department manager and ask if you could have that item for a slight discount. And most of the time, because it's not theirs, they're gonna say yes. All right guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you later.